Guys, welcome back to another episode of Unfucking Motivated. We have just Jemarcus and I. We're going to do a better best slash best segments. And, as this thing continues to progress, we're going to dive into topics with different hosts. Be like you've probably seen or have now, Jamal and I segments. There'll be some Parker continue segments in terms of business and life. And then I've got a lot of good friends of mine coming our way so we can continue to just help you guys help yourself. So today's topic is a little bit about compounding and what it means. And I do mean what it really means to both be patient, but patiently work. Because as you've heard the famous saying, faith without works is dead. The challenge is as we sit on the couch, nothing's actually happening, even though something is. So, Jemarcus, we had a couple topics in mind and we switched it up last minute because Jamal wasn't able to sit in. Please do tell them what you think about compounding and why this topic is even relevant.
Well, I think it's just relevant because I asked a simple question. I was like, hey, are you still working with so-and-so? Because I got to, get rid of some footage. And then he was like, no, because there was no plan. And then they're expecting results in this amount of time. But it took us how long to get to where we're at? It took us a whole year of doing this every single day, 3, 4, 5 times a day, bare minimum.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that makes sense. And then ironically enough, right before that, I had something literally pop up on my feed that most people focus on immediate results versus focusing on the habits that build the results over time. And then I'm like, man, that's crazy, man. And it just reminded me of the book Good to Great. So all these things just started kind of all collectively started coming together. But things do take time. And even when we talked about recently, even a post that I shared in my story and I tagged Trevin, and it took me almost 8 to 9 years to get to where we are now in terms of my own personal growth and development. And that was just work compounded over time. So I think most people are still expecting that immediate results, even if all the stuff right now, they're selling you all this, hey, get rich quick in this time, or, get your first deal in 30 days or this, and that, when realistically, that is not the case.
Yeah. And, you can hit the lottery, but, it's like this. I bet you can't hit it twice. Or 3 or 4 times. Now, there's a movie about a guy who figured out the trick. But objectively,
it's a good movie too.
If you hit the lottery, those people never hit it again.
Facts. No, that's 100% true. And that takes me back to even when I was doing real estate and I was like, trying to get involved with a lot of these different communities and, listen to some of these gurus at the time. And you'd hear all these little success stories of people, I just got my first deal after my first 3 phone calls and da-da-da. And that is literally hitting the lottery. I'm like, yo, that's rare. That rarely happens. So if y'all trying to get into real estate and think you're about to get a deal off of 5 or 6 phone calls, no, that is not the case. And if you do, know that you need to keep putting in that work because it's not as easy as it sounds the second time, because that's the mistake a lot of them made. They would get that first contract, they close it, I made 15 bands, and they would think, you know what, all I got to go do is just make 6 or 7 more phone calls next month, and then but then to only learn that they hit that jackpot. Yeah. And then that doesn't happen again. So then they don't realize they don't build the reps. They don't build the pipeline.
Yeah. It's crazy because the irony for me is I actually am afraid to get I'm like, we don't need to get there too quick. I didn't even know what's happening. I need to see the process so I can continue to replicate it versus, hey, you think we can do this? Let me see. Yeah, in about 18, 15 months. You're like, I thought you could do it faster. I could. But then we wouldn't learn anything. We would learn all the wrong things and it would cost us more long term. So what's one of the, we'll say, what is it called? Characteristic skills. What's a skill that you've compounded over the years that you now are like, damn, this actually applies today that you didn't even know you had?
I would say, going back to when we first started, I think, and it's still being worked on, but definitely the ability to finish more.
Yeah.
Definitely the ability to finish more and really dig deeper too. Because I remember I always used to scratch the surface on a lot of things and then only for Trev to come ask one question and you'd be like, oh, damn.
Well, I said this. Everybody want to go somewhere or go deep, but don't want to pick up no shovel. You're like, yo, you want to get somewhere in life, you got to pick up a shovel. And you might literally have to dig a hole just so you can learn something about yourself. And unfortunately, if we're being candid, Jemarcus really just started working on himself. Yeah. So after 37 years of learning, within the last year and a half, too, he's legitimately start introspectively looking at, hey, what does it mean to be an individual? What does it mean to be me? What are the things that I like? How do I continue to grow? Who do I need to surround myself with? How do I make better choices? He starts asking the questions. In my opinion, one of the best conversations you should ever have is with yourself. And then if you answer those questions with actions, you tend to land somewhere that, I won't say makes you great, but you slowly but surely get a little bit better every time as you keep digging and digging and digging until you get rid of all the shit that's been holding you down or the shit you've been standing in.
Man, say. And you know what's so crazy is because I was, the other topics we were going to talk about originally, he, mentioned to me, and I just went and took Deuce for a nice little 2-mile hike at Arbor Hill. And in the process, I'm thinking about these things and, okay, these are some things I can talk about. But then there was an idea that I had, and I start, walking through that idea, start looking at everything and start analyzing it. And then I remember when Trev asked me, he's like, yo, you think you're going to be able to undo 200 years of just like, what do we call it?
Well, shit, technically.
Yeah, basically, 200 years of shit of, just things that people that they have ingrained in them. And then
let's make sure we understand what you're saying. What I asked them something specific to Native Americans.
Yes, correct.
Guys, we can put on camera today. Jemarcus's dream one day is potentially tell Native American stories.
Yeah.
And the challenge with potentially telling Native American stories is that, how do you get them out of the place that they've been isolated to and confined to in a sense?
Correct.
Even though they have, land and it seems like, oh, they're good, they got opportunity. But the gist of it is, I said, do you really know what's taking place?
Yeah.
Have you investigated that mentally even? And you really start looking in, you go, ooh,
yeah,
that problem's way greater than I thought it was, buddy.
Exactly. And so as I'm going through this idea, I'm like, I get to that crossroad. I'm like, we're talking now about now will the people come to this one concept that I was thinking about or this idea that I had? And I was like, you know what? Let me make a phone call. So I called my one of my brothers, and I was like, hey, man, I was like, I'm thinking of this idea, this concept that I want to bring to life, but I'm getting to this crossroad where, will our people actually come to this? And it reminded me of you because you basically had a dream. You had all the resources and opportunity to go, make this dream happen, and you chose not to. Like, what stopped you?
For what dream exactly? Which one?
Yeah, he just wanted to get into welding.
Oh, your brother.
My brother.
I thought you
Yeah,
were talking to me. I was
no,
like,
no,
what dream did I not?
no, definitely not Trev.
I
Definitely.
was like, oh wow, what dream did I not make
Oh
come true?
man, that turn around. You're like, tomorrow that dream comes to life now because I got to make sure I finish that.
Say less. Have me up all night, brother.
No, but my brother though, he wanted to be a welder. He wanted to, go down that road, and it's just a trade skill now. It always has been, but like now it's definitely more relevant. And I asked him, I was like, yo, what stopped you? I was like, even our sister gave you an opportunity where you can get paid to go to school, get paid through the whole entire process of being taught, and then they'll even set you up with a legit welding job, which will set you up for 6 figures plus a year out the gate. Like, what was it that really stopped you? And then he's like, oh, man, that's a good question. And I was like, dang, bro. I was like, I'm just curious, because I was like, I'm having this.
Did he have a good answer?
No, he didn't. I told him, I was like, yo,
damn.
you probably won't have an answer right now. I was like, so you're going to have to come back to me in a couple days or so, or just give you some time to really think about it.
Truth is, the guy probably didn't ever think he could.
And that's what I told him. I was like, yo, did you think you just couldn't finish? Were you worried about not finishing or failing? Like, what was it that stopped you? But then that brought me back to the whole, okay, let's really look at this,
The sad part is some people never fail at being less than. And are afraid to be more than. So it's kind of like, I know Jemarcus is bartending for some time, and that seems to, a safe place, right? Oh, I can do this. I can't fail at this. But if someone said, hey, let's get in real estate, or hey, let's teach you how to do photography, videography, let's go, build a dog business. You go, oh man, I ain't never built nothing in my life. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'm doing good right here. So most people, they'll never fail at being what they've been.
Yeah,
and they can never succeed at being nothing else if they're unwilling to try.
That part. And that's the thing right there. So I was like, I'm like, yo, so then back to my idea, I'm like, okay, well, anybody else, if they were given all the resources and opportunity, would they take advantage of them?
No.
Exactly. And so I was like, okay, well, but that's me digging a little bit deeper. And like I said, I never used to do that. I was like, oh, I have this idea and I'm going to bring it to life and it's going to probably work. But then we really go analyze it. You're like, oh, these are some of the things you'll probably run into for sure. And that's once again, just from being around people like Trev over the past 10 years, constantly learning, looking at things from a different perspective, being willing to learn and try new and different things, which then start to open your mind to more things when it comes to the, world of success per se. Success does not happen overnight. One of my favorite lines in the Founder is he was like, here we are, 30-year success overnight. And that was talking about all the trials and tribulations that the McDonald's brothers went through just to come up with the speedy system concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people, compounding skills in a sense is how you realistically continue to grow as a person. And one of the best skills you can ever master is being yourself.
Yeah.
If you can do that and be confident in being that, which when I say which there are certain settings where everybody knows how I'm going to respond to things.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they know me and they know how I feel about certain stuff, and I stand on the principle of certain things regardless of who's around, and I could care less about judgment. So what's a personal skill or personal characteristic that is compounded in a positive way since you've kind of chosen to better your life?
Personal skill.
Yeah, because I think communication is a skill, for instance.
Yeah.
And, you haven't always been the best communicator.
No, definitely not.
And that goes back to, hey, how do you speak to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you talk down to yourself, don't think much of yourself. Well, you kind of get that lack of self.
Yeah.
So when you look at who the person you want to be, who the person you want to become, what are some things you're working on to continue to compound? And that's like every time you go in a room, for instance, you have to level up and better up.
Mm-hmm.
And the better you get, the more comfortable you get in these rooms, because the rooms are only going to get thicker,
Mm-hmm.
smarter, stronger. You got to be more effective. So when you're really compounding this skill, you say, how do I continue to be better?
Yeah. I think it's like a combination of a few different things that collectively are helping me just become better overall. Definitely from picking up the camera.
Yeah.
Definitely doing things like this, being on the podcast, and because it helps me work on my communication. Also helps me work on continue to fine tune my skills of editing and all these different attributes. So I think it's collectively the camera, doing things like this, like on the podcast, and then what's the last one? I would definitely say I would say the work ethic too, because you've increased my work ethic over the years from just simple reps and being in the field, in the gym, 100 reps at a time. You start going to a place mentally where like, yo, as you said, this will be the easiest thing you ever do. Right.
Yeah.
And, over the, doing this for now, almost 10 years now, in terms of T-Fit, like it's taught me how to be a little bit more patient, with the processes. And then also, not to, sometimes overthink it. It's just as simple as just let's get through this next rep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Work with what's right in front of you a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, people here, let's put in perspective, compounding skills. Best skill you could ever have is mastering oneself. Then if you go out and you have a real skill, you can turn around and leverage that skill. And that doesn't mean you work hard, you work smart. And one of the best skills I think you could ever attain is leadership. If you can lead a group of people, you can do less and get more out of folks. And then they go and do a lot of work, because most people are like sheep. They need to be led, sometimes literally to water.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be people there who won't drink, people who will drink. And the people who drink, they're going to continue to be able to do what? Follow you. The ones that don't drink, they're like, hey, this is the last stop for me.
Yeah.
That's perspective of it. When you stop and you get some water, it replenishes, refuels, recharge, gives you a little bit more life, and you can keep going. The people are like, look, you led me here. I can't drink this water. You're like, bet. Good luck. I hope you drown. I hope you drown or dehydrate and die. But the point is leadership, in my opinion, is probably one of the best skills one could ever work on, because 9 out of 10 people have no clue, no plan, no goals, no dreams, no admirations, no ambition, like follow through, finishing, and have commitment issues.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, well, shit. Like, I know you have a portfolio of skills that you've developed literally over the years since you were a kid, because your father basically beat it into you at this point. But what do you say are the top 3 skills that you kind of hold currently outside of communication and leadership?
Those are the most important, man. I can do anything, bro.
Yeah.
When you think of something like nobody thinks of me and thinks he can't do it. They're like,
no, that's facts.
What can't he do is a better question. Or the
scratch
goal,
the middle of his back.
Yeah, that's the truth. Can't do that. I get a towel and do it. But the real thing, even in learning all those skills and being capable of doing anything, is making sure you focus on the things that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So in my case, it is dialing in and continue to make sure that I'm leading by way of example. Definitely leading with clear communication, setting real goals, realistic goals. Identifying what those expectations look like, and then continue to follow through.
Yeah.
And foundationally speaking, because we're in the dog space heavily, is just taking care of the dogs, and teaching, people like yourself how to do it correctly or do it better or improve upon it day in and day out, and what that looks like. So, good question, but you can go and add 4 or 5 more things. But, you've seen me use the camera. You've seen me walk into rooms and people hand me money. You've seen me, meet amazing people, be a part of, go places, I've done a lot of stuff without the skill that I think some people need. They think they need to get there, because the best skill I ever worked on and still work on to this day and will always will is just being me.
Yeah.
And that seems to be more than enough. And it invites a lot of people
Yeah.
into my world. And then I get to invite my people, guys like Jemarcus and others, into these bigger worlds
Yeah.
that I myself didn't even know exist half the time. So I can't say that there's better skills than those two things. If I can lead, if I can, read and I can, continue to work on the task, identify the goals, and then set the terms,
Yeah.
then I think, we'll be okay long term. Once I get outside of that, trying to, I got to do this. No, I need to find somebody else who could do that.
Yeah.
Because that's not my skill. And
Yeah.
if I had to learn, I could, but it's just not a requirement, aka requirement at this moment in time.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think even those things you said there at the end in terms of being able to set goals and really doing the tasks, being able to plan.
Yeah.
That, I mean, that's part of the whole compounding process is really coming up with a really solid plan that it's a 10-year plan, but if you do the right things over that time frame, that work will compound, and by that 6, 7, 8, 9 years, you'll start to see that success, that ramp success.
Or even sooner, people, but the gist of it is you got to do it at least an hour a day. And I've been communicating since I was, a child.
Yeah.
And then I was forced to master a level of communication, aka clarity, at even a younger age, because it was like, well, what do you mean? Well, what are you asking? And then you have to write papers. So all of it's led into this very state we're in right now. And, what are some things then, Jemarcus, that you wish your parents might have pushed you more to do, be it you didn't know you even had any skills? Like, what were your skills before 20?
Shit, outside of playing sports and trying to fuck bitches. I mean, that's the point right there, man. There's things I wish my mom would have really poured more into. Clearly, obviously, if you heard the other episode, my dad wasn't ever around, so but I would definitely wish communication. I had the leadership when I was playing hockey, but I don't think it got pressed on enough more past that.
So you didn't know how to transfer it into other parts of your life.
Exactly, and
it did it on its own though, because you became managers at most of your jobs and led teams and then helped implement processes and operations, but you still didn't know what you were doing. Like,
exactly.
You're like, hey, Jemarcus, you can lead. You should do this. You're like, okay, bet we'll give you a little bit extra money. Teach these people to become a training manager. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But you go, okay, that's cool. But you're not thinking about I think this is a skill.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then you turn around. And how do you even when you don't have the right people around? How do you even fine tune that type of skill as well too?
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Is like so. For me, I know the leadership skill was there. It just didn't get to evolve anymore beyond that. And like I said, it kind of still traveled through me throughout life, but not as much as it really could have. I really think back to it. And then I really wish communication too. Just put me in more scenarios where I was forced to communicate and more effectively.
Yeah, and speak up, man. Jemarcus. We'll get into another part of his life at some point, but he's been a punching bag for some people at times.
Yeah.
And, verbal abuse is a real thing. And then when people don't think a lot of you because of your choices, you tend to get comfortable, kind of get hit in the head.
Yeah.
and so you turn around and you say, okay, communication is important. And even more importantly, how people speak to you. And they speak to you that way when they allow you, when you kind of allow it. But that only happens when you don't think enough of yourself. And that stems literally from childhood. And sometimes that big word we like to use, epigenetically speaking, it's just
shout out to Q.
The less than mentality continued to be transferred from grandparent to parent to child to then become parent to it just keeps going and going and going. And you never feel worthy, you never feel good enough, you never feel like you'd even deserve success. So you say, what are we doing here?
No, that's facts. I mean, and the epigenetics thing is a real thing, because even when I now go back home, aka the reservation, for like the family reunions we have every so often, it's evident. And it was very evident the last time I went. Like, I was like, man, like my family's uncomfortable around me because of me, like my ability to speak up now, and everybody else, like, it is crazy how timid they are, and it's across the board. Nobody wants to step up or, step up to the forefront. My mom was military, so she had some of that in her.
Be seen and not heard. That mentality, like,
exactly.
Hey, look, you're supposed to just be here and just shut the fuck up.
Exactly. So yeah, and then so my mom is always leading any family events and stuff like that. And then she's always asking for my assistant, but that's because once again, she grew up not grew up, but she, did the whole military thing for 25 years. And then
and that military, I presume, gave her a voice.
Yeah.
Small or big, you get a voice, you tend to, be a little bit more definitive about what you want out of life and how to get where you're going.
Exactly. And then, that's how it transferred over when I went back the last time for our last, because at this point I've now spent some time with you. So I was like,
nigga, I didn't become a different person now.
Exactly. So like it, I now, even when I go back to even Kansas City, even my brothers, my sister now, like they get uncomfortable being around me because I'm just very like, yo. And it's so funny. It's like, just like yourself, I started like, yo, grab my son, we disappear, and we're going to go do some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I know exactly what we want to do, but they're all just hanging out and, they don't know what, when to speak up. They don't know what to say half the time. And I'm like, man.
And so do any of them technically have any skills?
Nope.
That's fair. Because some of the skills people are unfortunately mastering are the skill of being less than and nothingness to say.
Mm-hmm.
And, coming where I'm come from, you don't really have, if I have the power,
Mm-hmm.
what you do by way of action to kind of like change my life by way of action, then I can't choose the latter in terms of going backwards
Mm-hmm.
or being less than. So it's very uncomfortable for me to be around people who don't think more of themselves or who can't see that there's so much to do with this life. Like you get 24 effing hours.
Man.
You get a few good moments. Yep. You get some time with some good people. And you get to share those things with, some other folks that you might just enjoy and potentially show other people the world. And that only happens when you like dial in who it is you want to be to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and then continue to scale that. So,
yeah. Well, my question to you then is, what is some advice or even a challenge that you could give people to maybe help them compound, one of their skill sets?
I don't know that it's, this not going to be the best advice. What I will tell you to do is go out and try new things. It's really that simple. If you go and try new things, you might find something you're interested in. Hill Harper wrote a book called Letters to a Young Brother, and he was going to be a doctor at Harvard. A friend invited him to an improv class at Harvard, which is just acting, and he fell in love with acting. So imagine coming from an African-American community, making it all the way to Harvard, becoming a doctor, and you turn around and say you want to go act. That's very challenging. When you like gotta go tell your parents like, look, I'm finna act. They like, come on, cuz. There's no guaranteed success in that.
Yeah.
But he believed in himself and he's got Emmys and all this other stuff because of the shows he's been on. So I would say that one thing that is prohibited, no, it's just limited in perverse environments or just with poor people, is we don't get to experience a lot.
No,
and that lack of experience and exposure limits our ability to envision a better, bigger life. And, the skill comes when you have an open mind.
Yeah.
So if I could tell you anything, it would just be go out and try some new things and keep an open mind. Don't think about not liking it. Think about why it exists or why it's so or why they did this way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of foods I don't like. And I learned to appreciate them more when I understood the root of their existence and why they were beneficial and how they could impact my health long term. So it's all of a sudden, psychologically speaking, the flavor then changes in my mouth because you go, this isn't even about flavor anymore. This is about longevity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a crazy thing that the mind can play because when you do think something's gross, I mean, it yields gross, but it's really not just the smell, it's the mind.
Yeah.
The mind is where it begins,
Mm-hmm.
And if the mind thinks, this is bad, then you go, oh, this is awful. And then you just double down on it.
Yeah.
So my best advice is as it always is and always will be, is just to try new things and see what happens. Because I'm telling you right now, most of the people, especially since you've gone back to the res and met a ton of people just in life, they ain't never tried a fucking thing.
Tried nothing, man. I mean, I would have never known that I'd want to, eventually tell, stories on, documentaries and films and things like that long term, without being around Trev. And then, of course, him picking up the camera, putting it in my hand, and then, challenging me to do different things. Even when we did the FBK docu-series and stuff like that, like doing those type of things. And I'm like, yo, and what is that? That is another skill that he's helping me learn by way of doing these things in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, and production, and I'm showing them how to get angles and how to frame and get people to the point, since they're not going to be as clear as I am at times with making sure that I'm lining the story up correctly.
Yeah.
So I simplify a process, and he could take that and duplicate it amongst others and say, okay, I need this, and that. I need to build out this, and that. So, all things in life are possible, people. Compounding skills is a matter of, sometimes it comes out of necessity, and then sometimes it's introspective. You're looking at what it is you're actually doing and then what it is you're good at.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a process, but, it's not a super hard thing, but it's a hard thing if you're not willing to try.
That part.
anything else you want to leave them with, man? Because this is one of those, let's.
I think we were very straight to the point on this one, man.
Yeah, man. Well, people, again,
Great things take time, people. That's all.
hey, and that right there in itself is one of the things I'm glad Jemarcus is seeing. As he said, I know a lot of people who even see our limited success on social media go, I want to get big. I'm like, bro, it's 2024. I start this thing back up for my third time in 2019, if not, a little bit before that, but 2019. And for the most part, nobody was watching.
No.
And I knew that nobody was going to be watching because I was like, yo, I got 2 dogs.
Bro, 88 subscribers, man.
Yeah. And then slowly but surely it continues to progress and it continues to go, but grows, but we treat it like we're working at a big corporation and our lives depend on it. So there's the times we shoot, which is damn near every day.
Yeah.
There's time to continue to take care of the dog because if we fail that, this all falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more importantly, there's time to like think about fun and have fun and jump on a game and connect with the people that are supportive of us and continue to just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Because if you don't fall in love with the work, then you really never get there.
Yeah, and you guys sometimes treat it like a job. I mean, I do.
I do too,
I come here like it's work every single day.
Well, I more so treat it like the biggest opportunity I'm ever going to come in
there
contact
you go.
with.
That's a better way to put it.
So for me, I'm not like it's not a job. If
No,
it's a job,
that's
I go
true.
get a job.
Because I'm not gonna lie, man. I have a good time every single day,
Yeah,
and I don't ever feel like I'm working too. So yeah.
I treat it like this is the best opportunity I'm ever going to come in contact with, or I'm ever going to have a chance to really like see through.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be my last,
Yeah.
And so if this is my last opportunity, I'm gonna give every day, to the best of my ability, my best.
Yeah. And didn't Zuckerberg say something about that about Facebook?
Potentially, I don't know.
No, didn't he say something like, yeah, when they offered him $1 billion for the company?
This might be the best idea I ever have, and I don't want to sell it because I might not ever have another idea like this again.
Man said.
so for me, this is a good idea. And if it wasn't a good idea, trust me, I'd change courses or jump into another ship and sail the opposite way. But for the most part, this is fucking working.
It's working, man.
And we want to keep working the work.
Yep.
But it's not work because, again, we understand that this is a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say that, our job, our goal, mine is especially, is to kind of take you guys through all the things that lead to this big thing one day.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, man, I watched that dude go from zero and to infinity, and beyond, to say the least.
I think that's the best part about this is that we're literally documenting our growth over there. I mean, I even go back a year at some of the content I shot a year ago. And man, you want to talk about, I can see myself sweating, trying to get my point. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, but then you turn around today as I continue to get more and more experience with everything that we got going on, I'm becoming more confident, things like that. And that's all, once again, compounded over the past year from doing the daily reps, getting in front of the camera, practicing speaking. I don't know how many times I probably shot 2 or 3 takes of the same video, just trying to get it right, even though I'm like, I just need to pick one and post it and move on.
Yeah, you got to, man. That's the thing. If you overthink it, it'll never get there. So,
exactly,
guys, we appreciate you for listening. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in to Unmotivated, the podcast where we try to stay motivated. Mm-hmm. We're going to spend at least 2 days a week where we're like pouring into the podcast and dropping stuff in gyms and stuff. I can't thank you enough for subscribing, downloading, commenting. If there's other topics you want to hear me pound on the, beat into the pavement, believe me, I'm happy to do so. As you know, even in real life, I hold nothing back.
Oh no!
And I've got nothing to lose, to be clear, other than my damn mind at times. But shout out to Better Best Dog. Follow him on all platforms. Better Best TV. You guys here for the Fit Bully Agora Offer Solutions or Agora Credit. We'll tighten up that name because they changed the name a little bit. Meaning Jamal.
Agora Collective.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, Agora Collective. I don't know what it means yet, so I know what the Agora kind of means, but I'm just slipping my mind.
Yeah.
But as you know, that we're a community of people trying to be better, trying to improve, giving everything our best shot, and learning how to be better, every day. So stay motivated, people, and as always, thank you for listening.
And always just do your best.